Hey everybody, Dr. Jaime here, and you are about to listen to the Dr. Jaime Show Audio Experience. I hope you enjoy the tips and advice in this segment. Hey everyone, Dr. Jaime here with the Dr. Jaime Show Audio Experience, and today I am so excited that I have business coach Lauren Spires, laurenspires.com with me. We just did a 60-minute full Dr. Jaime Show, and it was awesome. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much. I had a blast. It was super fun.
Good. Yeah, well, we were excited to have you, and we talked a lot about some really interesting topics. We talked about growing your business, but you're working from home, so you've got your kids around you and you've got your husband around you or your spouse around you. We talked about how you can make 7 figures without taking out a ton of loans or investors. And so I want to talk about these things today on the audio experience for our listeners. So do you mind if we jump right in? I ask you a few questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so the first one, when we started out the show, we initially talked about working with our families in the household. So what are 3 to 4 tips that you can share with both men and women who work with their spouses?
So the key thing is going to be communication, keeping very clear communication between you and your spouse, and really defining the roles of who is doing what within that business. So you want to make sure that if one person has one role, you have a separate role, and that those departments, think of it as like departments within one organization, they don't collide. You don't have to consult the other one. However, since you are working together, they are your spouse. You do, of course, want to have conversations with them. But at the end of the day, if you're in charge of that department, that means that you have the final say. And if your spouse is in charge of a different department, they have the final say.
And you've got to respect them. So, right, so when they're coming to you and they say, hey, I'm going to take this risk, I'm going to take this leap in this marketing area, you can throw advice at them, but you can't put them down and always badger them and tell them what they're doing wrong, because that's their department. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Because then it can become marital problems more than business problems.
Absolutely. And that's the last thing that you want when you're trying to grow a business together.
Okay, excellent. Any other tips that you would share with when you're working with your spouse, or maybe there's kids in the home?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's very important that you want to make sure that you separate your time. So you want to make sure that your time that is for business is truly dedicated to business, and your time that is for your kids or for your spouse is truly for them. So that means you're turning off your social media, you're closing your computer, you're not on your phones, you are truly present to that moment, you are present to your kids, you're present to your spouse, to make sure that that relationship stays solid.
Okay, and we talked about this, and for you listeners out there that are starting your own business, we know that you have to put more time into your business right now than maybe Lauren and I do, right? Because we put in a lot of time, but when we were early on, you got to put in even more time and effort. So, but you still got to have that balance. So if you're working 12 hours and you shut that computer, that becomes time just for you, or just for you and your spouse, or for you and your children, and you need to be present. Shut off work. In fact, you'll come back more clear-minded if you do that. All right, Lauren, so I want to transition. One of the hot topics we talked about in the Dr. Jaime Show was how you went from 0 to 7 figures without investors and loans. Oh my gosh, what the heck is the trick? The world needs to know right here, right now.
So there's 2 types of businesses. You have your service-based business, but then you also have where you're maybe selling a product. So your service business, you are your product. So it really doesn't cost anything for you to just put yourself out there and start knocking on doors to get new members, whatever it is that you are selling, that you offer, that is yourself. Now, when it comes to the product side of things, you don't necessarily have to go for the holy crap, big, amazing thing. You got this giant logo that costs you, $500 to have custom done, and you got to buy this, brick and mortar store that you have to have a $10,000 neon sign out front. So, start off on the smaller side, test the market, make sure that the product that you're planning on selling is actually something that is gonna sell. And then from there, you can build and build and build and grow. And then at that point, once you have the capital, you can reinvest it back into your business to, again, take it to the next level.
Okay, that was probably the biggest takeaway for me, was that we need to make sure that we test the market. I think that's a great way to blow money, is to have this amazing idea that we think is amazing, and then just go gung-ho on it. We're buying the sign, we're buying the magnets, we're buying the brick and mortar store, we're buying a car to go with the business, only to find out that no one else thinks this idea is interesting. So really making sure that we test the market at a smaller scale before we blow things out of the water. And unfortunately, some of us blow all of our money out. So, okay, so I want to know, and I want an honest answer, does it take money to make money?
So yes and no.
This is like the chicken and the egg. We never know. Okay,
I know.
So tell us.
So when you are starting off, again, depending on what it is that you're going into, if it's a service base or a product base, it really depends. So you yourself, you don't need money if you are the service. If you are the product, you don't need money in order to get going. Now, if it's a product base, it does take a little bit of money, but it doesn't have to take thousands of dollars. You can, start a business, with as little as, $100 and just get your first, product going and test it out and see if people like it. Then once you've built the money from that, that's when you start spending money because, it's the concept of what got you here won't get you there. Okay. So if you start off on the smaller side, you can't just continue to do things on a small scale if you want it to grow. So if you want to take it to that next level, yes, use the money that you've built from testing it to then reinvest it and make it bigger, and then take that money and reinvest it again and make it bigger and bigger and bigger until you get to that level where you're like, holy crap, look at what I just did.
Yeah, I think that is really important, is reinvesting your money back in. So often we take those profits and we go spend them on other lifestyle things, but especially when it's early on. Mm-hmm. In fact, any point along your journey of business owning and entrepreneurship, you need to take a portion of what you make of your profits and reinvest it back into that business to grow.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the final question I want to ask you before we let you go today is, you work with a lot of entrepreneurs that are really pushing to grow their business. A lot of them are already very successful. What are some of the things that your most successful clients have in common?
Our most successful clients are coachable, meaning, when I say, hey, listen, this is what you need to do, or you need to try this, or you need to fire that person, they actually listen and they go, okay, I'm gonna do it. They might ask a question, and that's okay. It's predictable to ask questions, but to give pushback is not where we see necessarily our best or our most successful clients. The most successful ask the question, or they just take action right away and they go for it. They don't have fear because they rely on myself, their business coach, because they know that I'm gonna have their back. And they also know that if something doesn't necessarily go the way that they intended or the way that they want it to go, they are going to learn from that. So rather than being fearful of making a mistake, because look, in business, at the end of the day, everybody's going to make a mistake. Yeah. It is what it is, but you learn from it. So the most successful ones aren't afraid to take action. They're coachable and they just go for it.
Okay. I love that. You've got to be coachable. You've got to have an open mind. You hired a coach for a reason. If you're going to keep doing everything that you're already doing, don't spend your money and hire a coach, darn it. Because that's what you're hiring them to do and we had a quote up earlier, something along the lines of, coaches make you see what you don't want to see and do things that you don't want to do to bring you out of that comfort zone, so that you can be who you always knew you could be. Lauren, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Everyone, this was Lauren Spires, laurenspires.com. She is an amazing business coach. Please check her out, laurenspires.com. You can find out how to follow her on social media. Speaking of social media, do me a favor, everyone. Please go to youtube.com, type in my name, Jamie Kulaga, and subscribe to that channel. You can also go to iTunes and subscribe to the Dr. Jaime Show as well there. Have an awesome, amazing day and stay coachable. Thank you so much for listening to the Dr. Jaime Show Audio Experience. I really hope that you enjoyed the tips and advice given on today's segment. Do me a favor and go to iTunes and my YouTube, and please subscribe to that channel. Every subscribe, every like, every follow helps the Dr. Jaime Show grow so that we can bring you the best guest and the best content possible. And of course, as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to leave that as well. Talk to you soon.